Hi writers, welcome back. Lesson 3 of our fiction unit is a pretty exciting one. It's one that I like a lot. It's called Plotting Your Story. Let's get started. So, what you'll need today is the same thing that you needed yesterday, either your notebook and pencil if that's what you've been using, or your fiction writing document on the Google Classroom. Please remember, if you use your notebook and pencil, that you take a picture of what you do and upload it to the fiction writing document. It's totally okay if you want to write by hand. I know I like to draft with a pencil a lot, but I do need to be able to see your work each day as you complete it. Make sure you're in a place where you can hear this video lesson clearly, and make sure that you have a story idea from your brainstorming list. You might continue with the same story that you were working on yesterday. Maybe you have 2 stories going that you've started. Today would be the day to pick one that you want to continue with. Again, if you need to pause this at any point to pause and work, to look at how to spell something, or to work with me, you can pause this video anytime, do what you need to do, and then keep going. All right, let's look at the word plot. Here's my question for you. Have you ever plotted something? Like, ooh, I'm going to make a plot. First, I'm going to do this. Then, I'm going to do this. Finally, I'm going to do that. When you plot something, you're making a plan. You're putting things in order. So the plot is really what's going to happen. When we think about it in a story, we think about the events that are going to happen. Oh, we have a visitor. Look. Do you guys know who this is? Oops, hold on. Let me get back here. You probably haven't met Shar yet. You probably haven't heard me talk much about her, but here she is. Say hi, kitty. You say hi? No? You want to help me teach? Not so much? Okay. Go sleep. All right. Anyway, you guys see Sydney all the time. Thought you might like to see Shar. Let's continue. Where were we? Okay, so the plot is what's going to happen in your story. And the cool thing is, it's not just saying one thing after another, or one thing after another. You're really zooming into different parts of the story and looking at what happens in each part. Okay, here's what I mean. I like to think of a story as a roller coaster. And I'm sorry, I didn't animate this text to come in today, so just follow my mouse on the screen, okay? Roller coaster starts here with your introduction. You tell who your characters are, and you tell what your setting is, where and when the story takes place. Very important so that you don't confuse your reader. Then we move up the roller coaster. See how anticipation is building? You're like, oh, something's going to happen. That's where the problem is. The problem starts right away, right at the start of the story, because it continues for the whole rest of the story. This problem is what gives you a story to begin with. All right, now we know who is in the story, we know where they are, and we know what the problem is. Now our story really starts to get rolling, just like this roller coaster. I like to do 3 events in my story. Event number 1, where the characters are doing something to deal with the problem. It's hard to describe generically like this because everyone's story is going to be a little different. Maybe your character is going to try and defeat evil. Maybe your character is going to try and figure something out. Maybe your character is going to try and change themselves. Event 2 is another event where the characters are dealing with the problem. Event 3, same thing. Events 1 and 2 were good tries to deal with the problem, however your character is doing it, but they didn't work. Event 3, your character is still trying to figure it out or beat the bad guy or whatever they're trying to do. Finally, we have one big event in the story. This is where the problem gets to be the worst it could possibly be. It makes me think of like the big battle scene in stories like Percy Jackson. It makes me, or like Harry Potter. It makes me think about like, you know, in a friendship story where it seems like the friendship is just never ever going to be back the way it was before, like you're never going to be friends again. in my story, you'll see what the climax is. It's the part where, things could either, go really, really badly and the characters like suffer, or they could figure it out. And in my story, they're going to figure it out. There's a resolution. The problem is solved logically. That means after this big event, this, oh no, how is this ever going to get better after your climax? When the problem is solved logically, you don't just have some random person or thing or magic coming in to solve the problem. The characters actually solve it. That's what I mean by logically. Remember how we said fiction can be silly and crazy, but it still has to make sense? Your resolution is a way to solve the problem that makes sense based on everything that's already happened in your story. Okay? Any questions? If so, find me on Google Chat. Let's keep going. Look, this is forgot to click that in for you. Writers use a story map to plan the plot. Let's look at a couple other story maps, okay? Sometimes it can help just to plan it on your hands. I kind of start like at the base of my hand and then say, what's the problem? What's 1, 2, 3 things that happen? What's the big crazy event? And then the resolution. So if you like to just plan things out on your hand, that's one way just to start thinking about it. But you do actually have to write a plan today. Some people really like lists. I think of it in 6 parts. I combine the intro and the problem because they're both at the very beginning. They go together. Your 3 events, climax, oh no, what's going to happen? How is this ever going to get better? Resolution. We're good. Okay? All right, let's take a look at my examples. And again, if you want to do this with me, you can follow along. You can pause the video when you need to. Or if you want to watch my example and then do it yourself, you're more than welcome to do that. Okay? Right now is when we need to have a story in mind that we're going to stick with. Because when you spend all this time planning your events, you don't want to then go back and change your whole story and do all this work for nothing. And you're really, really thinking about what happens, what makes sense, what's going to keep my story moving and keep it entertaining. Okay? I like the roller coaster visual. I also have a list down here for those of you that like to just keep it a little more simple. Okay? On my roller coaster, starts over here. Sydney, Indy, and Ma, that's me, are on a hike. That's pretty much based in real life. We always go on a hike, and Indy is Sydney's best friend. Here's our problem. So here in the beginning, you know who is there and where they are, okay? I should probably say it was like midday or something like that. They hear a noise and get worried. Now, I'm going to write a lot more about each one of these events, but right now I'm just planning it out very, very basically, okay? So that I remember where my story is going. We hear a noise, we get worried. I can't wait to write about that and describe the noise. Event number 1, Sydney and Indy decide to go explore, to go find bones, but they hear the noise again. Uh-oh. Event 2, they run back to make sure I'm okay. And I am okay, but I'm a little bit worried. So event 3, we keep going, but we stay close together. Maybe we think the noise is gone. We haven't heard it in a while. We're almost to the top of the hill. Now look, my roller coaster goes all the way up really high, loops around. This is like the part of your roller coaster. This is the part of your story too, okay? Everyone, that's me and Sydney and Indy, we all get to the top of the hill. And then the noise comes again. It's the loudest we've heard it. There's like cracking and crunching and some sort of animal noise, but we can't really tell what it is. And both dogs start to growl at it. And Sydney's all worried and Indy's worried. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, are we going to get eaten? What's going to happen? And then logically, we resolve the problem. We find out it's just Sydney's friend Lola and her owner. They've been trying to catch up with us the whole time, and that's why we kept hearing the noise. I did the exact same thing in my list down here. And again, each one of these events, my intro, I'm going to write maybe even 2 paragraphs with my intro with a lot of details. I'm going to write at least 1 paragraph about my event 1, maybe even more, and the same thing for all the rest of my events. Each one gets described in detail. Each one gets its own paragraph or even its own chapter. Okay? We're going to learn how to write more in detail and make our stories come alive. Today, here's what you need to do. 1, I would like you to make a plan. You can use the roller coaster if you want. You can, I'll actually put an image on your Google Doc if you'd like to use that. The best way to probably do that would be to, if you watch my mouse, I'm going to click off of this. You would go to Insert Drawing. And this might be a little more complicated than some of you want to do. You can paste the roller coaster here and then use text boxes just like I did. That's how I created that image. Honestly, that might be a little too complicated. You could probably just draw, even if you want to draw it. This might be a good one to draw in your notebooks, okay? You could probably just draw a curve or an arch like this, okay? You would have like your beginning, problem, event, climax, resolution. I'm gonna delete that off of there. I just did the roller coaster because to me it was just a little more fun. Oh goodness. So 1, make your plan. Please follow the guide that I've given you with intro, character setting problem, events 1, 2, and 3, climax, and resolution. Please follow that guide as you do your plan. Then, just like before, please take 15 minutes to start writing, and this time you can use what you started before, but also start to write and follow your plan, okay? Make sure that your writing starts to follow the plan that you're doing. Sorry, since I had Char, I have cat hair on my face. Okay, anyway, let me know if you have any questions. You can find me on Google Chat, and I can't wait to see what you plan. I can't wait to see how your story continues. Happy writing!